I have failed. I have failed at being black. I was raised in the fullness of religious Jews. I mastered the Hora before I ever heard of the Running Man. We were hit with a wooden spoon when we spoke the King's English. I have good hair. I have privilege. I can pass. I have failed at being a woman. I have failed to hold my chin up, hold my stomach in, hold my tongue, and hold the party line. And one time, actually many times, I failed to hold the hand of the man whose job I was doing but was supposed to pretend that I was not doing so that he could get my credit. My mother also failed in the same respect. I have failed to be soft. I have failed to be gentle. I have failed to remember that I was supposed to shine less so that somebody else could shine more. I have failed to own my birthright, my magic, my unlimited capacity to forgive. I failed at being straight. I led, I had an opinion. I decided to question what I was supposed to like, do, be, feel. I fell in love with men and women. I fell in love with what was inside of myself. I truly failed to drink the Kool-Aid. I threw it up, I spit it out. I chose a wife. I have failed as an entrepreneur. I failed to follow up. I failed to shake your hand. I failed to ask you for money. I asked for too much. I failed to own my vision, my belief, and my company, myself. I failed even when I was the most visible example of what success could look like for someone who looks like me. I failed in my marriage, my vows, my commitment to keep my faith, to step forward, to stand by your side, to find my way back fast enough. I have failed as a mother. I have failed to always hold you close, always make you feel undeniable, always make you dinner every night. I have sent you to school without breakfast. And just yesterday, I failed to change my schedule to match my daughter's schedule so we could talk about her schedule before Berkeley sacrifices her creativity to the gods of intelligence. I have failed. Down on my knees, spirit broken. Oh no, not again. Is this the time? Am I even worthy? Can I come back from this? I have deeply, seriously, absolutely failed. I am a failure. And I have become an expert at failing. I am a woman. I have chin game to match the queen. And my tongue is only held when it increases my power. And I will have your back and hold your hand when you have mine, but I no longer offer freebies. And this stomach has carried 5 children and cradled 6, and it has earned the right to do whatever it pleases. And I am deeply committed to shining my shine so that you will remain committed to shining yours. I am black. My intelligence was grown on the likes of Ntozake Shage, James Baldwin, and Maya Angelou. I dedicated 3 years of my life to living, learning, and loving Africa. Ninasema Kiswahili. We celebrate Kwanzaa. Our children are revolutionaries. I am a lesbian. My wife and I created case law in the state of Maryland so that 2 women or 2 men can be listed as legal parents at the birth of their child. I can tell you every single thing that I love about loving a woman. I proudly parent gay and straight children. I am perfecting the recipe for my own Kool-Aid. I am an entrepreneur. Last year, the company that I co-founded added the following clients to our roster: P&G Gillette, Columbia University, and the White House. So clearly a few emails were sent. Some of the right hands were shaken. I held on to and projected my belief, #and unfunded. I am a wife. The weekend before last, we spent 27 straight hours giggling in each other's arms. We remind ourselves that hard work can often feel like magic. Between us, we have 2 homes, 6 children, and 1 shared life, untethering from fear. I would change the world to suit your mood. You ride through my life on a white horse. I am a mother. When she was 11, our oldest daughter got up out of our bed and held us at arm's length until she was 17. But the night after she graduated from college, she came home, slept in that bed right by my side. Our oldest son, Keith, is autistic, has an IQ less than 100. And he went to college. And he has 2 jobs as a veterinary technician and a 401k plan. Our daughters, Maddie and Mackenzie, choose me as a playmate. I have stood up. Each time life has slayed me, or I have slayed myself, I have hands on knees, grasping at rails, pulling on chairs, leaning on walls, stood back up. I am full on Audre Lorde into my life, speaking my truth, shining the way, living my light, fully knowing, spirit glowing, that I believe in things that I cannot see, that it is my superpower to make things manifest. I am failing forward. People often ask me, weren't you afraid during all of this failure? Of course I was afraid. I was terrified. Are you kidding me? Think of the stakes. 6 kids, a company, employees. But in my darkest times, what I knew is that in order to get to this day, this moment, I was going to have to walk through that fear. And so I did. And I did that 4 ways. The first thing that I did was I gave myself permission to fail. I embraced failure. And embracing failure shifted the paradigm for me. I realized that every time I failed, I learned. And I applied the hell out of those lessons. I was relentless in figuring out what I had learned and what I needed to change, adjust, do differently, not just to take me 1 step forward, but to take me to the next level. And now I live my life so fully every day that I am guaranteed to fail. Step 2, I decided to live like an optimist. So not only did I begin to see failure in a positive light, but I began to see positivity all around me. And the more I focused on the positive, the more positive I attracted into my life. Each year at our Seder table, we have different people, we serve different food, we pour different wine, but we always begin the same way. And that is by recommitting ourselves to optimism, despite all of the evidence to the contrary. So that now in every day, in every way, every moment, every pitch, deal, endeavor, drive, ride on the metro, I live my life with this belief that everything is always working out for me. Say that with me out loud. Everything is always working out for me. Third thing I did was I untethered from fear. Okay, think about that. Untether from fear. I want you to close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to think about your fear as a physical object. And no, your fear is not the size of a ping pong ball. Try again. Fear is more likely the size of a bull or the Gannett Building or the Brooklyn Bridge. It is fear, and like cellulite or head lice, it does not go away when we ignore it. So keep your eyes closed and be a little bit more honest. What is the size of your fear? And the reason why it's important to envision this is because most of us are tethered to our fear, and not with a simple fishhook. We are tethered by a mountain climbing carabiner that is extra secured with a screw latch. And once I had this visual, I had this conversation with my fear. I looked my fear right in the eyes. Yeah, you see my fear was pretty big, right? Right in the eyes, and I said, no, thank you. You are no longer serving me. I am sick and tired of dragging you around, and frankly, you have exhausted me. So I'm going to unscrew this carabiner, carefully remove it from my body, and walk away. And I did this each day until my fear got smaller and smaller and was further and further away. And now on many days, my fears almost entirely disappeared. The fourth thing that I did was I broadcasted the right of people like me to fail. Because let's be honest, when it comes to embracing failure, the playing field is not even. If you are a woman or a person of color or a lesbian or visually impaired like I am, you are taught almost from birth messages like, you will have to work twice as hard in order to be considered half as good. Or we look around and we think if people like me were meant to be successful leaders, entrepreneurs, there should be more examples. That somehow the absence of abundant role models must mean that people like me we're not meant to have a seat at the table. And while these messages are totally untrue, they serve to create adults, business leaders, entrepreneurs with a risk appetite that has been diminished by society and our experiences. So we have to talk about it, own it, and walk right through it. And what I mean by this is, when I go to pitch a product, I start by saying, one thing to know about me is that I love to make mistakes. I plan on failing forward. And even though as a woman I've been taught that I should only open my mouth when I have something brilliant to say, I'm actually going to risk to speak when I have an idea worth sharing that I think we should test, and then let the data determine the value of my idea. Or I might say, as someone who's visually impaired, I've spent my whole life being taught to do what is safe. But that is not my plan. My plan is to own my legacy as a risk taker. I'm going to walk in the dark. And even though I can only see 1 foot in front of me when it's light outside, I'm going to walk in the dark with your money, and I'm going to discover something that only someone like me can discover. So I'm going to risk. I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to make mistakes, try things that have never been tried, share my opinion. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to fail. I'm going to fall. And then I'm going to get up where my head landed, standing at least 6 feet in front of where I started. And I'm going to keep pushing the envelope on the problems, the product, my company, my life, my belief that people like me deserve the right to risk and fail and still be considered worth an investment. I am failing forward. I say fail, you say forward. Fail. Forward. Fail. Forward. Yes. Thank you.